So there's a new executive order that's about to shake up how the U.S. military gets its power, and it's all focused on, you guessed it, coal. What's really behind this big push, and what does it tell us about where the country's energy policy is headed? All right, let's get into it.
And that really is the big question here, isn't it? I mean, why is the Pentagon, which is one of the biggest energy users on the planet, being specifically told to buy its power from coal plants? To really understand the answer, we've got to dive into the administration's strategy on energy and national security.
Okay, so first things first, let's just look at the nuts and bolts of what actually happened. This whole thing kicked off with a brand new executive order coming straight from the White House. So here's the deal. This past Wednesday, President Trump put pen to paper and signed the order. And its instruction is pretty clear. The Pentagon needs to start buying its electricity from coal-fired power plants. And this isn't just some vague suggestion. The order gets really specific. It names the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, and tells him to go out and lock in long-term deals. And the whole point of these deals? To power U.S. military bases. So what's the official reason for doing this? Well, the administration is framing this whole thing as a critical issue of national security. And you don't have to look far for that message. President Trump himself said it very plainly when he signed the order. His words were, "Coal is critical to our national security." That one line is really the core of the public argument for this new policy. Now, to really get what the administration is arguing here, you have to understand a concept called baseload power. Think of it like this. It's the absolute minimum amount of electricity the grid needs, running constantly, 24/7, just to keep essential things online. Things like military command centers or critical data servers. And here is where the two ideas connect. The main goal is to have uninterrupted power for military facilities. The justification for using coal to do it is the argument that renewable sources like wind and solar aren't always on. They can be unreliable. So the claim is that coal provides that steady, dependable baseload power that's essential for our most critical infrastructure. Now, it's really important to understand that this order didn't just happen in a vacuum. It's actually just the latest move in a much bigger, ongoing push from the administration. I mean, if you just look back to January 2025, you can see a pretty clear pattern forming. It started with a lot of talk, championing what was called beautiful clean coal. Then, fast forward to April, and we saw actual measures signed to turbocharge coal mining. So today's executive order really seems like the next logical piece of that puzzle. And this pro-coal push, well, it's also designed to do something else. Directly go against the environmental policies that were put in place by previous administrations. In fact, the source material for this explainer describes this move, and others like it, as part of a deliberate strategy to, and I'm quoting here, erase the green policies that were the hallmark of the Obama and Biden administrations. So you see, this one order really fits into a much larger strategy. The administration has been pretty open about its goals. They want to boost the U.S. coal industry, they want to double the country's electricity production, partly to keep up with China in the race for AI tech, and, like we just said, they want to undo the green policies of the past. So what's the next domino to fall? Where does this all go from here? Well, according to the source material, another really big policy change is expected pretty much immediately. On Thursday, the administration is reportedly going to get rid of the official scientific finding that says greenhouse gases are a danger to public health. Now, this is a huge deal. Why? Because that specific finding has been the legal foundation for almost every major climate regulation in the United States. And that brings us to the biggest question of all, looking forward. If the very legal groundwork for climate rules is being taken apart, what could that mean for the future of energy and environmental policy in America? It's a massive question, and for sure, a situation we'll be watching very, very closely as it unfolds.